The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be televised. Yeah, so I'm a deeply spiritual man. I like family. That's like the record over at the MP3. And also, once again, we don't lose. We try to fight the internet. I just live and try to be present in the moment. I'm working on a book. I'll say that. To me, that's not success. I'm just trying to make sense of the stuff that I was going through. You say that because you got money. I mean, I'm still paying rent. I just live, bro. The last one I had broke. My nephew threw it down the stairs and was helping me move. You want to be mad, but she's like 3 years old. So my name is Moluba. It is the name given to me by my great-grandmother. It was my great-grandfather's name. So I'm a man who is strongly tied to his family and ancestry. I love food. I eat a lot. I like to cook. I read a lot of books. Recently, I've been reading a lot of Eckhart Tolle and bell hooks. I do a lot of writing outside of music. I write short stories. I write novels. I just write, get stuff off my chest type vibes. I love to travel. I love to see the world. I love to get experiences. I feel like the whole purpose of being here is to have experience to give back to the whole divine, God, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, so I'm a deeply spiritual man. I like family. Spirituality comes from I was born in the West as a Christian. I'm connected to African because my mother's side of the family is African, connected to my ancestry. So I told you I've been reading a lot of bell hooks. She has this book that's called All About Love, and I think she put it perfectly, that love is the desire to help other people or yourself, whoever it is that you're loving, grow spiritually, physically, and mentally, right? So if you're loving on yourself, you're committed to that growth in yourself. If you love other people, you're committed to that growth in them, whether or not it benefits you. So I think that on a very surface level, that's love. On a more macro level, I think love is everything. Like creation is love. God is love. God is everything. Yeah. And I feel like the more human you become, human, like you put it that way, the more human you become, closer you get to God, and the more divine you become. I just live, bro. Folks, they ask me what my religion is, and I tell them my religion is Mo. Everybody calls me Mo. My religion is just, I think that every action you take is communion with God. Because if God is omniscient or omnipotent or omnipresent, that means that God's everywhere, right? So every breath you take, you're inhaling God. Every step you take, you're stepping in God. Every word you speak, you're speaking God, right? And so I just live and try to be present in the moment, give God my presence. If every moment is God, I try to give God my presence, and in that, try to take whatever I can from every moment, right? Like, there's that cliche that it's only an L if you look at it as an L. But the L could be a lesson instead of a loss, right? And so, yeah, to get closer to, on a more like practical level, I meditate, I read, I do research, I read different spiritual texts and stuff like that. I do breath work that helps me not only with my spiritual embodiment, but like breath control for my craft. But on the surface level, all of that is just, I just live, bro. So every breath you take, you're inhaling God. Every step you take, you're stepping in God. I would probably go to, right now, in this state of my life that I'm in right now, I wouldn't go that far back. I'd probably go back to like the late 80s, early 90s type vibes. Only because I want to be there when Illmatic drops. I want to be there when Reasonable Doubt drops. I want to be, not like I'm older now and like I'm digesting it. I want to see how that fire was hitting. Like when Wu-Tang first hit the scene type vibes, Biggie Smalls' first drop. I want to see what the energy was like, or even just, I could see it. I want to be in it. Yeah, I'll probably go back then. First concert ever, second concert. My first concert was Chris Brown's, but the concert after that was the OJ's. So my other answer to that would be what's that, 60s, 70s era, where Motown was really popping. That would be the other era that I want to go to for sure. Shit, man. I'm gonna say the early 90s. I'm gonna say hip hop becoming hip hop as you know. At the end of the day, that is the art form that gives me life. I would love to see my idols in the craft, I'll say, in their young days, moving, see Pac live, see Easy live, see when NWA first hit the scene type shit. All that would be crazy. That would be crazy. And I think that, that's what I would choose. I want to be there when Illmatic drops. can I give you a dead and an alive answer? So, so my dad is Pac, right? Pac is my favorite artist, hands down. I don't think that he's the best rapper, but I think that he's the most prolific. And really, I would ask him questions about his family. It probably wouldn't be a musical conversation, if I'm being honest with you, because his family is deeply steeped in American history, Black American history. A lot of people don't know that about Pac, but like his aunt is one of the only women to ever be on America's Most Wanted list, and his mother tried herself one of the biggest cases in American history as far as civil rights type things. His stepfather was one of the people who like took over the Black Panthers when Huey Newton went down. And so like it is deep and some crazy shit. And so I just would want to know like what was it like growing up around those people, bro? Like the folks that raised you, that molded you to the man that you are people who like revolutionaries look up to. Your aunt literally ran away to Cuba to get away from the American government. What was that like? So that's the type of conversation I want to have with him. And then I want to know also like bro, you spoke about death a lot. Did you know it was coming? Like did you see it? Or was it just like the space that you knew that you were coming from, the space that you knew you were going into, you knew how dangerous it was? Like what was the mentality behind that? Because honestly, I go a little bit into conspiracy theories here, but I feel like Pac's last name was too powerful to be in the position he was in. That's why he got taken down. That's what I think. I think it was deeper than just the beef. I think the beef played a role into it, but I think it was deeper than that, for sure. And like once again, like because I wanted to be around in those 90s and see when everything was going on. What was it like being on death row? What was it like, kind of like being bullied into that deal to get out of jail? What role do you think you would have taken if Suge hadn't stepped in? Like where do you think you would have ended up? All questions I love to ask this man, just be around that energy. And in the same vein, with the alive one, it would be Kendrick, because I feel like it's the same kind of energy. Not necessarily, I don't really know his family history like that, so I don't know like where he necessarily comes from like that, but just the ideas and storytelling that he's been able to achieve through his art. I remember when Kendrick first came out, he dropped that song High Power that J. Cole produced, and I remember hearing that song and I'd be like, fuck, I gotta go get better. I gotta go right. Like, because he just taps into this like spirit music that's just so, it's simple but it's complex at the same time. And I like to pick his brain a little bit into how he got to that point musically and artistically, just as a writer. That's my two. Pac is my favorite artist. Pac. The last thing I put out was a song called Count It Up. Why did I create it? So I met this guy, his name was Ezra. We kind of met in similar ways. He kind of started hitting me up. He saw some freestyles and stuff like that I put up online, and he started hitting me up. And he happened to be based in Baltimore. And I was still in Maryland at the time. So we just got connected. He sent me a bunch of beats, and I wrote to like 4 or 5 of the beats that he sent me. But that song in particular kind of stood out for me because it just had a real like, the theme of the song is being forged by fire. And I was in a stage in my life where there was just a lot of shit going on. Just trying to make sense of the stuff that I was going through. I got to reading a lot of like scriptures and stuff like that, and I kept coming across the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, where they are slaves under, I can't remember what nation had dominated the Israelites at that point, but they were slaves under this tyrant or whatever, and he's asking everybody to bow down to him. They're like, we don't worship him, we worship God. We ain't about that life. And so he's like, I'll give you one more chance, we'll throw you in the fire. And they're like, well, do what you gotta do. And he throws them in the fire, and they're chilling. They get up, they start dancing. There's a 4th man that's projected to be an angel in there with them. They're dancing, they come out the fire, and he's like, nobody say nothing bad about their God. Dawns them with like robes and jewelry and makes them pretty much princes. So it's like they went in as slaves, they went in the fire, slaves came out as princes. Right? And so like this idea of being forged by fire had been heavy in my mind. And so the song kind of takes a Dante's Inferno approach. And if you actually listen to the lyrics and protagonist of the story, the song starts off in hell. And when I do the song live, I'm like, you find yourself face to face with the devil, how you gonna act? And the song progresses into, at the end of the 2nd verse, this person escapes hell. He's on the surface level. And then like ego comes in, right? So like he's on the surface partying, driving a Bugatti, getting it in. He starts to realize that like it's not about this, it's about the spiritual iron that was forged in that fire, and like it's connected with the ancestry and connected to the blood and connected to these things. By the end of the story, he's like in reach heaven. So it's like from hell to heaven type of story. And it was just very prolific for that stage of my life for me, or even cathartic kind of to write. just because it put a lot of the ideas that were floating around in my head that like as I was just kind of going about my day that would just kind of come and put them into a space that I could actually like concentrate on and meditate on. So that was the purpose of the song for me. But it's a fun song. Like, you listen to it, it's upbeat. Like if I don't explain that to you, you might not necessarily get that you're really paying attention. You know, it sounds like there's a good time going on. It was something that I had worked on for a long time to be able to put that kind of messaging in the music and still make it a good time. So I'm happy it's out. You said how I feel about it being out. I'm happy it's out. It's done some numbers for me recently, which is kind of cool. Got a little check. I'm kind of happy about that. You know, yeah, it's cool. It was just very prolific for that stage of my life for me. I'm working on a book. I'll say that. I'm working on writing a book within the fantasy realm of things that taps into a lot of like spirituality, whether it's African or Eastern. That's really all I'm willing to say about that because it's not fully into fruition. I don't want to block my blessing before they come type vibes. But I'm excited to get that out. I'm excited for people to hear that. Me and you kind of talked about the project that I've been sitting on for a little bit. And I think that we are at a stage now where it's going to be out within the next year or two. And I'm excited to get the feedback from that as well. Because that one, the whole project is based on the concept of ego death. And each track has its own separate like death and rebirth. But the whole project as a whole also has a death and rebirth within it. And I'm really excited to see how people resonate with that as well. I'm working on the book. I'll say that. I would describe my music as, so I've called it soul hop in the past, right? And I say that to say, like, it's hip hop. It's coming from a hip hop standpoint. Hip hop is like my foundation of expression. But for me, it's a very spiritual thing. I think music in general is a very spiritual thing. I think musicians are the magicians of this era. We literally bend air. We bend air to our will, and we make you feel things. And so for me, my approach to music has always been layered. It's therapeutic for myself. It helps me connect to God, to Most High, whatever you want to call it. And it helps to connect with the broader world. And so there's a lot of like my own experiences in my music. There's a lot of things that I see just walking around day to day in my music. There's a lot of things that I pull from my own spiritual beliefs that are in my music. And honestly, I don't really think that anybody should or should not listen to it. If it resonates with you, then cool. If it doesn't, it's not really for you. But if it resonates with you, which it has resonated with people, that means that it was meant for you for that purpose. And I kind of feel like that's what art is anyway. Like art, when you're creating it, is for yourself. Once you get it out to the world, it might help somebody else in a way that you never anticipated, because that note or that word you said or that phrase that you used might have hit them on some shit that you could have never experienced, so you didn't have it on your radar. And so my answer to that question is, if it resonates with you, I'm grateful that I was able to provide that, or that God was able to speak to me in that way. For me, it's a very spiritual thing. I would create music whether or not I put it out. I would create music whether or not people listen to it, because for me, it's definitely, like I've been saying, a form of therapy. It is definitely something that keeps me sane in this crazy ass world that we live in. And it's a form of worship, right? So like, it keeps me connected to my spiritual beliefs. It keeps me connected. It helps me. I've always been better at writing than I have been at talking. And so when I'm trying to get my thoughts out, the writing oftentimes turns into like a poetic type of thing. But oftentimes I'm just trying to get my thoughts out in a way that I can understand them for myself. And so, yeah, like I said, whether or not it was there's money involved, or there was cool shit or fame or any of that stuff that was possible to happen, like, this would be what I would be doing. I would create music whether or not I put it out. I would create music whether or not people listen to it. Happiness, like, there's really nothing else to it, honestly. Like, you see people who are like deemed as successful who kill themselves, have horrible family lives, or have like just no social whatever, or just fucking weirdos. That's all types of dumb shit. And it's like, to me, that's not success. Like, you might have gained this monetary success, which is cool, it's helpful, but at the same time, like, if you're a miserable person, are you really like successful? What's success in God's eyes, kind of vibe, right? Like, and so there's this book. I forgot who wrote it. It's called The 5 Types of Wealth. And he talks about, like, obviously monetary wealth, but he also talks about time wealth and social wealth with your family, and spiritual wealth with like your own inner being, and wealth of like your values of yourself. And like feel like we put so much weight on that monetary part of it, or that recognition, like the fame part of it, that we forget that like we are a whole being. That yes, money helps. If somebody gave me $1 million a day, I'd be very grateful. You know, yes, money helps, but at the same time, I think that people who live in abject poverty, who find a way to be happy every single day and like appreciate the present moment that they live in and value the every day that they're given, are more successful than somebody who has $1 billion that can have. And I say that not from the standpoint of a man who has $1 billion, because I know a lot of people be like, you say that because you got money. And I mean, I'm still paying rent and blah, 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 right? And so I think that success is, to put it narrowed down, being able to be in the moment, being able and be in the moment, like actually be in the moment of where you are right now, not worrying about the future, not worrying about the past. But that can mean planning for the future, but being completely focused on what you're doing in the right now. Being able to be happy in that, and being able to share that happiness and love that you have within yourself with the world. I think if you can do those things, then you're a successful person. What's success in God's eyes? I want to be remembered as a man of integrity. I wanted it to be said that like the things that came out of his mouth matched the things that he did. My inner world to match my outer world. I want folks to just know that when they run into me, that he was honest, that he was kind, that he was caring, that he did go off and flip off the lid. There was a good reason for it. Like it wasn't just because he's a wilding out type vibes. Yeah, this really, honestly, that's what I care about. Like the rest of the stuff is, it'll be cool. Like if people recognize me as a good musician, cool. If people recognize me as somebody who was able to give back, cool. But at the end of the day, I just want that, like I said, that inner world to match the outer world. I want the things that come out of my mouth to match the things that I do. And I want people to see that. I can't really ask for much more than that, honestly. That inner world to match the outer world. I want the things that come out of my mouth to match the things that I do. I grew up playing trumpet. I think I told you that earlier. I grew up playing jazz trumpet. I played from like, I don't know, 3rd grade to about my 11th grade year, like in a structured situation. But then I played pretty consistently up until I was about like 22, 23. I haven't touched one in a while, unfortunately. The last one I had broke. My nephew threw it down the stairs when he was helping me move. You want to be mad, but you're like 3 years old. You can't really like, you know? And I just haven't gotten one since. So that's something that people don't really know about me. I went to 6 different elementary schools before 3rd grade. Moved around a whole lot. When I was younger, just parents figuring stuff out type vibes. As a result, I'm pretty versatile in like the people I'm able to interact with, because like in that moving around, I found myself around a bunch of different cultures, a bunch of different socioeconomic statuses, from the lowest to, I wouldn't say the highest, but like pretty mid-range kind of vibes, you know. And so I'm able to move in rooms that I feel like a lot of people wouldn't necessarily be able to move in such a diverse way. But that comes from being moved around and shipped around a lot. In my 3rd grade, so what, you start at 5 in kindergarten, so that's like 9. And that's just yeah, it was all the US. It was all within the like Maryland, DC area. It was just like my folks were young. They had me, I was in my mom's stomach at her high school graduation type of. So my parents were real young, and they were just figuring it out, you know. But being that young and figuring it out by itself is hard enough. You got a baby to tow around, you know what I'm saying? And so it was a lot of that going on. So they were like, you know, the next spot was cheaper, so we got to go there, or we can't afford to be here no more, so we got to figure it out. And they finally figured it out. Like I saw my parents go from that to like, if you saw the house they lived in now, you would think we grew up rich. Like I saw all them hustle, and I saw them like really put in that work. And I think that was something that's something that really like stuck with me. I saw how my dad was able to go from like hopping around job to job to having like a job, like you know, like, and that's not necessarily my calling as far as like that, but like just the mentality of you can come from nothing and make it into this dream that a lot of people have, that you yourself might have thought you never was going to reach. You know, it was definitely something that instilled a lot of hustle in me. The last one I had broke, I definitely threw it downstairs to help me move. You want to be mad, but she's like 3 years old. I wish that we lived in a world where the artist was separated from the art. Like, I don't give a fuck that Kanye West is crazy. I just want to hear his music. Not as much anymore, but you know what I'm trying to say. Like I wish that people got compensated for their work, and then they were removed from this situation. Because I think that art is important. I don't think artists are that important. So like if I had a situation, like you said, if I could cure heartbreak and nobody knows who I am, and I can go to the grocery store still and be okay without people swarming me, that'd be amazing. I wish that we lived in a world where the artist was separated from the art. You know, everyone embrace the mess. Yeah. Because I mean, at the end of the day, you like the raw version of it without me having to do nothing. Like, you know, that's like the record over the MP3. Right, so if you like the uncompressed, unfiltered version of it, like my raw thoughts, that was the part that was for me. And so if you can relate to that, then we good money. That's like the record over the MP3. Money. I'm never gonna fight the internet. You're gonna lose that battle every time. You're gonna lose that battle every time. Because it's the same thing. Like we were talking about earlier. If it was my most vulnerable verse, it already did what it's supposed to do for me. If I've vetted out, it's already done what it's supposed to do for me. And so if it becomes this viral moment and that's how it affects the world, that's how it's supposed to affect the world. I can't be mad at that. And also, once again, we're going to lose if we try to fight the internet. You're going to lose that battle every time.